call the meeting back to order. We resume with item number 26, vote to ratify contract amendment with Ty and Bond to add full-time construction observation services to the West Street Improvements Project for an additional fee not to exceed $103,000 to be funded from Chapter 90 and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved. Second.
Very good. Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This motion failed at DPW subcommittee level, 1 to 4. I think the issue that many of us had with this was that we are hiring a full-time engineering assistant who will be providing construction oversight. There was some questions raised by some of the members about the status of the hiring. They are interviewing someone on June 30th. So we just felt that because we are hiring somebody to do construction oversight, that this would be additional money that we did not need to spend. The question was asked when the West Street project would be starting. The answers were soon, next year, in the spring. I think we have plenty of time if we want to maybe hold off on this one to find out if we do get somebody in who can provide us with the construction oversight on this job. I mean, we're paying somebody, we're going to hire somebody at, I think it was $80,000, correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody a little over $80,000 to do that work, and to hire Ty and Bond for an additional $103,000 was a waste of funds. So, thank you.
Mr. Desjardins.
So let me clarify on when the West Street project will be starting. I talked to the contractor, or I texted the contractor earlier tonight, and they're expecting to start around 8 weeks from now after the submittal process is done. So that gives us a bit more time, but I have a few points I'd like to make in support of this amendment, and I hope it's reconsidered in light of this. We have interviews for that position later this week, the engineering assistant position. We don't know what the knowledge base of the person that we choose will be. The applicants vary widely, and we don't know what their knowledge base will be, their skill set will be. Which brings me to the second point. It'll be up to me to provide this person with the orientation that they need to succeed at this job, which will be difficult if they're thrown straight into a construction project. The road improvements project, which is bidding tomorrow, will be going on concurrently, probably starting sooner, and meaning that either I'm using them on West Street, or I'm using them on the road construction project, or I'm out on the road construction project. So because they're going on concurrently, it's going to be a drain on my time as well, trying to onboard this person with our department and get them used to our practices and our standards. And the third point is that with myself filling in the director and the engineering position, and no end to that condition in sight that I have seen, this person represents the one chance I have for relieving some of my workload, and if they're devoted to West Street 100%, or even 70 or 80%, the amount of workload that they'll be able to share will be slim to none. So I hope you guys can reconsider the choice of the DPW subcommittee to vote this down and approve this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. We'll start with Council States.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was the one that voted in favor of it, and it's simply because I think it's an issue, as we've kind of seen this repeatedly with excuse me, the various projects that we've got, is that we need somebody there. As I think Matt suggested, we need somebody there full time. And this person that we'll have in the department, while that'll be a huge help as time goes along, we need to give them some time to get used to what we're doing, A, and B, I think even more importantly, I think this other person that's going to be internal I personally see that person kind of being a bit of a floater, using the skills necessary to oversee at least a little bits and pieces of all the various things that are getting done in the town. Somebody like this, with this person that we'll have in our department, isn't necessarily directly attuned to what the specific needs of a specific project are. There are another set of eyes that we can have floating around for some of, like he mentioned, doing the more general road projects as opposed to something specific like this. In the long run, I would agree with what Councilor Marchetti said earlier, that as this person comes up and running, I would ideally like to see a lot of these projects be brought in-house and have the oversight be in our own town employees. It would, in the long run, be a lot less expensive. But with the importance of that project, I want to make sure it's done right in the short term. And right now, we need to have that up there and running as soon as we can. It's a critical road that needs to get done. And I'm not saying that the person that we'll ultimately hire may have the skills for that, because hopefully they will. But as Matt pointed out, we don't necessarily know what they're going to look like at this point. But we do know where Ty and Bond is as far as their skills go, because they've been giving us service for years.
All set?
Yes.
Very good. Councilor Dow. And
Thank
then
you,
Councilor
Mr. Chair.
Lasso.
To you, to Matt. He's an assistant manager, but actually the assistant engineer, but he's an engineer.
Engineering
correct?
assistant.
But he's an engineer, correct?
Not necessarily. It's not a
I
requirement.
understand, but the one you're gonna hire, he's an engineer. He's a fully engineer.
Not necessarily. It's not a requirement of the job.
Correct, but right now you have somebody have an application and he's an engineer applying for an assistant engineer, correct?
There is one person that has engineering training, I believe, engineering education, and the other 4 applicants are more construction heavy experience.
Okay, but my question is, why wouldn't hire a town clerk? Why have to be, because you're gonna only hire them for that specific job on their own. You can hire part-time, time of clerk, you don't have to spend $103,000 for something only, it's gonna be just washing that specific job. It'd be cheaper for the town. Way
Cheaper for the town to do what?
Same job is gonna do on West Street. Make sure the product is done correctly, the work done correctly.
I'll say that I agree with Councillor Steves that I believe that the best option for this position is to be a little bit more of a floater. The DPW subcommittee has also expressed that they believe that this person will bring National Grid to heel for the shoddy work that they've been doing around town. How are they expected to watch National Grid's work when they are on West Street 100% of the time? This is a $3 million plus project, and we need to keep control over it. It's not something that we can let slip through our fingers like we did Main Street when we lacked the full-time oversight. And without even having met any of the applicants yet, I don't have the confidence that you guys do that this person can step in and provide what trained resident engineer could provide on this project.
Thank you.
Councilor Lasso.
I was at that DPW meeting, and Matt, I want you to know, I think you did a fine job at that DPW meeting. We might have a difference of opinion on how this works, but I'm not going to be voting in favor of this. I was chairman of the council in the 80s when we had probably 9 streets open, sewer, water, pump stations. We had Gioso, we had Fantoni, we had 3 different construction companies working in different quadrants of the town. We had Hamer Clark and we had an assistant engineer, Chesla. She did not have her stamp at the time, but the thing was, it was a delegating of, and this is the thing, Matt, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you have an inspector, it's much like when you build a house. You have a bottom inspection when they dig the hole, so you know the base of where you're placing, whether it be a pipe or a foundation. Then they want to see intervals of inspections of install connectors, connections and stuff like that. Then you're going to have a spot inspection on compaction. Now this is basically what we do like local guys, smaller jobs, laterals, gas company even. I watch the gas company. They dig the hole, they place the pipe, they sand, they don't do a good job compacting. And if Heather said it, once, or if she said it 10 times, the best thing is to put the cold patch in and let it settle even after compaction with the vibro roller. So for myself, I think if we could move a little quicker on the oversight person, and I don't really feel that it has to be an engineer, that's a nice to have. I think what we need is a clerk of the works that can move around at will, and Matt would control that person. And yeah, Matt, you would have to pick up some of the slack on, the inspections. But the thing is, if you have a time schedule with the company on when they're gonna do what, it's a drive-by inspection. It's not like you stand there and watch somebody dig a hole. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't want to make it sound too simple because I know it is complicated, but I have a hard time swallowing that price tag and I listen to DPW and the debate over it. But I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm saying, let's move quicker on this clerk of the works or the assistant to the engineer. I mean, when you see assistant to the engineer, it doesn't mean it's an engineer. I think everybody got confused with that. But that's where I'm standing right now. I'm kind of out there and undecided. It's a big ticket item. That's what makes me feel like I don't think I'll be supporting this. I'd rather push quicker on the clerk.
Anyone else? Councilor Adams.
So I think, just listening to everybody speak, that $100,000 is a lot of money. I mean, it's crazy. But so is that West Street project. And I don't want anything going wrong with it. We expect an oversight. We beg for oversight for the last 4 years for somebody to view it, take a look at it, be there constantly. We see where it's passed and where it's failed. My concern is that $100,000, and I have a hard time with that. I will vote in favor of it just to make sure we have some sort of oversight. I don't think it's going to behoove us to wait for the assistant to the engineer to throw him or her into that at the same time and trying to work all these other projects. But I will expect in the near future that some of these have to stop. They have to go away. We brought somebody in. We've authorized it. We're allowing this to happen. And it's, some of this has got to be pulled back. So at this point in time, I'm in support of it, even though that $100,000 is a damn lot of money. Jesus. Thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Transitioning for an employee, especially a new one, for a new role we just created, is not going to be easy. It's a very broad role. It is a very broad description, and they're going to be doing a multitude of duties. One thing I do not want to do is quickly burn out new employees as they're starting either. There is going to be some cost when you are transitioning and starting an employee in a new role. We have been begging and begging for more oversight because of what happened with Main Street. We can't have it both ways of, we want more oversight, but we're not willing to pay for it. The person that we have may or may not be qualified, may or may not. This council does not make the determination as to who the final person that's selected is. The manager and the department will. I find it very inappropriate that we're asking about candidates, and that's not normal procedure. Not at that level. My position on this is the same as Councilor Adams. Let's use this for now. Let's get this oversight in there. But going forward, I want to start seeing less and less and less as we start getting this person trained and used to the expectations of the position. I don't want to cause more turnover and more people to leave because we made a job so overbearing and so cumbersome and so overreaching and so broad that we just push out everybody. Especially for the price tag that's being associated with it. So it's not much for that position, and I think we're asking a lot out of a relatively new employee. So I would urge everyone to support this tonight. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Dow, then Councilor Catrona.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. You good?
After, whenever.
Okay. I agree we need somebody to watch the job, but we can hire time and clerk, 2 of them, for the same price. Now we have West Street, you're gonna pay $100,000, and then a year later, we're gonna have another street gonna be open. We're gonna hire another one, $100,000 too? You can hire a person, 45, 50 grand a year. He can be full-time. You don't need a assistant manager, 103 to start. and you don't know what's going to come after a year later. You know, I think that's too much money. I believe the 103 you can hire two people. Somebody retires from construction job. He's just looking for something easy, and it's easy job. I know he's going to be there all day, 8 hours, but it's not like he's having the shovel or digging a hole. He's just going to watch what's going on. I mean, it's not right. If you come and tell me I'm going to hire assistant an engineer, he's going to help me in the office, here and there, whatever, maybe I look at it a different way. But you're going to tell me only for West Street to just sit there all day, have a coffee and cigarette and tell me stories, you know, just to every one day to when they dig a hole to inspect it, or like most Councilor Lazo say, week later to put the pipe together to inspect it. Yeah, not too much money. I'm not going to support it. We can hire 2 people for the same amount. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Dean, you wish to
Yes.
address?
Yeah, I probably should have advocated for this earlier. Part of this project is CDBG having come in during Central Street parking lot when GCG was looked at as responsible for errors, and then the director was looked at as responsible for errors. DPW, you know, I felt like there was a lot of finger pointing. There was a lot of requests for us to do full construction oversight. In the absence of a DPW director, I feel like this is necessary, and I thank them for having the foresight to bring this to you and ask for it, so that we're not in the position a year from now with the CDBG extension, with the project not being done properly, with any issues that could have been hedged off by hiring. So I hope that you'll consider this.
Councilor Catrona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, just a quick question. Didn't we already have a part-time inspector for West Street from Ty and Bond?
Yes, part-time. This would increase to full-time.
But we currently have one.
I believe that's in the contract, but I don't know the amount of oversight or construction observation, they call it,
And we currently
which
pay
was
that
included.
gentleman roughly $50,000, in there somewhere in that range?
I don't believe it was that much.
Okay. I can't support this. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
Wow, I'm listening to all this, I can't believe it. Our director just came up and said that without a DPW director, we should get this oversight. Well, we had a DPW director and an engineer, and look at Main Street, and look at Dresser Street, and we wanted more oversight. Look at Central Street parking lot. So we are well-versed in disasters, okay? And I'm getting a little upset here when someone tells me, we're gonna burn somebody out working. Oh, geez, this is 2022. You got guys on that list that install water lines and sewer lines. They know how to inspect it. And like Mr. Dow just said, to Councilor Dow, sitting there smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee while he's watching other people do the work, you don't get burned out doing that. You get burned out installing the pipe. We have people that are on that list for our inspector or assistant to the engineer, which I call a clerk of the works. That's another set of eyes. You don't get burnt out by driving from West Street to South Street to Main Street doing inspections. We have a building inspector, right? Do we hire private inspectors to inspect all our buildings in the town of Southbridge? You know how many buildings these people inspect? How many permits are out there? Well, we don't have a problem with our oversight in that area because they go to work, they do their job, they don't complain, and they do a good job at what they do. This Julian fella, the guy that we scoffed up, was one of the best deals that we ever found. Now, here we are going forward. If we need a clerk of the works, that clerk of the works should be on all projects. You have permits at DPW, street opening permits, like we get building permits. Then they turn around and they say, okay, we got, Matt, what do we have? We have 3 on this, 3 on that, 2 on that. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of that, and then gonna be placing pipe. They're digging on West Street. I'll be there by 10 o'clock, I'll inspect that. You get a planned out timesheet on what you're inspecting, when you're inspecting it. And the clerk of the works, nothing gets buried unless he sees it. Very simple process. I don't know why we're trying to cure cancer here. I mean, I really think that the money that you're spending here is not well spent. I don't care what oversight you want to make the plea. The bottom line comes down to is bang for the buck. This is a waste of money to me. So for me, I listened to the DPW. I was at the meeting. I didn't say a word. I wanted to hear, sell it to me. But it's so easy when our department heads line up and we're all in favor of it. We don't have a DPW director. What, the world gonna stop because Heather went to Sturbridge? There's a cemetery full of people who thought that this world couldn't run without them. And now here we are, the only people that are save Southbridge are Southbridge people. So let's roll up our sleeves and use some common sense on this. We spend money like drunken sailors. Thank you.
Anyone else? I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is in the current scope of services, there's 320 hours of observation already. Okay, and you're saying that the agenda item would request it to go another 720 hours. Does the engineering firm feel that 320 is adequate?
No. They provided that because that's what we asked for in the request for engineering proposals.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
May I make a couple more comments? Just to put this in perspective, as Councilor Adams mentioned, this is a large project. It's a over $3 million project. This represents about 3% of that. It seems like a lot, 103,000, but in the scheme of the project, to have somebody out there observing construction 100% of the time, I don't think it's 3% of the project is that much to ask for. And I'd also say that that these are not to exceed. Their construction observation fees, they charge by the day. So if construction takes less time, then the fee will be less, and this money will not be fully spent. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lazo.
Just a quick question, Matt. Do we engineer any of these projects, or do we do any engineering in-house?
Yes, but not projects of this magnitude. There's
Okay.
no way we could possibly.
Can you give me an example of what we engineer, if we engineer anything?
Sure. The last 3 years, I've put out road construction projects that I put out to bid myself. I've done plenty of drawings for the Central Street parking lot. The last phase of that, I put the plans together myself and put it out to bid myself, or assisted with the bidding process anyway. I have been developing new standard details for the town. That's been put on hold because I don't have time to devote to that at this point. But the idea that I'm going to have time to sit at a computer and design entire projects is unreasonable when I'm also being asked to be the facilities manager for nearly all buildings that are non-school buildings in the town. I'm asked to spread myself incredibly thin now that Heather's gone, and for all the great things that Heather did, there were many things that I didn't agree with, and I'm hoping to improve upon. So I don't think that Heather's action should be held against the department at this point, now that I'm in charge of it.
Matt, thank you very much. It's good to know what you just said.
Okay, Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for you. Matt, you're doing a great job. We're not questioning your work before and now. And I know you're trying your best. But regarding $103,000 for only West Street, it's not about because it's 3 million, 3%, about what's going to come after. We have a lot of projects coming in the future. If we're going to every project hire a person $100,000, that's a lot of money. That money, we can save it to different projects.
And I don't think that that will be necessary, as necessary moving forward. And that's my hope. I think that we can have a different conversation about this once we know who the applicant is and we know what their capabilities are and we know what kind of workload we can place upon them and what kind of work we can get out of them.
Make it.
But without even knowing who the person is at this point, I think that as a stopgap, this is a good move.
Can I continue? It's, so, like you say, before you know all the applicant, it's have to be 103 or depend on his level of education or experience or whatever you want to call it. It could be less. We're just going to approve the 103, but it's going to be less, maybe.
The resident engineer has a fee, a certain hourly fee that's set, and then they're also compensated for their travel time. So it's a cost not to exceed. So they'll bill against that 103 plus the oversight that was included in the original contract until they get up to that. This is the high end of what they expect the construction schedule to take, especially given the long lead times of some of the items. Not that that really will increase their time on site, but it will increase the length of the entire project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the question.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion to move the question.
Mr. Chairman, although I'm not opposed to moving the question, when somebody has their hand up, as Councilor Steve does,
Mr. Chairman, when someone moves the question, ends all discussion. With all due respect to all the councilors, it ends discussion, you have to vote on it.
not when someone has their hand up. But
Well, Councilor Adams had his hand up first, and I recognized him in the order. Okay, we have a motion to move the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. We have a motion on the floor and a second. We'll take a vote on that.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Catrona?
No.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
No.
Counselor Lazo?
No.
Counselor Marquetti?
no,
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
It's 4-4.
failed,
Doesn't pass.
Doesn't pass.
does not pass.
Motion fails on a tie vote. Item number 27, vote to award the replacement of primary clarifier drive number 2 contract, including alternates 1, 2, and 3, to Sherborne Consolidated Incorporated for a total of $297,548 to be funded from a dedicated project account for wastewater treatment plant primary clarifiers, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So move.
Council Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was approved in the subcommittee level by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Okay.
This is one of the projects that I engineered myself. Sorry that I couldn't rattle off more of them on short notice earlier. This is a follow-up to a project that was one of the first projects that I worked on in 2017 to replace the drive in the primary clarifier at the wastewater treatment plant. That project just replaced the drive and took the old one out. That has been since refurbished, and we have that drive on hand as a spare. This project would either replace the second primary clarifier drive with the refurbished drive or with a new drive, which is alternate 1, depending on the lead time of that drive and the decisions that are made once we award the contract and get information about the lead times. Alternates 2 and 3 are to perform repairs to the ironworks in primary clarifier 2, sandblast and paint the ironworks in primary clarifier 2, and then move on to primary clarifier 1 and do the same. Sherborne Consolidated is currently wrapping up a project at our wastewater treatment plant to replace the sludge conveyors, which has been a very successful project, and they're an extremely good company to work with, and I'm excited to work with them on this project as well. Thank you.
Very good. Council Lazo.
I'd just like to say, Matt, your explanation at DPW was excellent, having a backup unit, knowing, when one goes down and what happens at the plant. I'd be voting in favor of this.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand the need for this, and I will support it, but I did ask at the subcommittee level that we consider ARPA funds for this. It is an infrastructure project. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 28, vote to ratify the collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Southbridge and International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO Local 2194, effective July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2025, and allow the town manager to sign all
So
related
moved.
documents.
Second.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. As you were briefed earlier, I have been working on all 4 of the collective bargaining agreements with our various units. In the last 6 months, I've worked with the AFL-CIO local for the International Association of Firefighters. We did reach a tentative agreement which was ratified by the collective bargaining unit members earlier this week. I was notified by President Firefighter Morton. The details for those at home, we negotiated an agreement based upon a cost of living increase of 2% year over year for the 3 years of the contract starting July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. We made some adjustments to language favorable to both sides in various places in the contract. We also made an inflation adjustment to some uniform allowances that had not been adjusted in 15 years, and we did adjust some licenses or stipends related to licenses that they maintain for operation of the ambulance. And as I indicated, we tried to keep it at a reasonable level, factoring the 222 year over year, and the incidentals we try and keep so that we're keeping it at a reasonable rate of increase for the taxpayers.
Discussion. Very good. Roll call.
Counselor Catrona?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow? No. Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 29, vote to ratify the collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Southbridge and Service Employees International Union, Local 888, CTW, CLC, DPW unit, effective July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Manager.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the bargaining unit, and those watching at home. This is a slightly older agreement. We started negotiations about a year ago. We've been working on it. We had come to a tentative agreement more than once, but there were some minor issues. But similar to that of the other bargaining units, the agreement with the Services Employee International Union, otherwise known as SEIU, will be an agreement, a 3-year agreement running July 1 of 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Its foundation, again, is a cost of living increase similar to what we give to our non-union personnel here, 2% each year over the 3 years of the contract. We did go back similarly and found that there were some inflation adjustments need to be made going back over a decade for some of their stipends. We made a minor adjustment to their clothing allowance, and we did get some language favorable to the town that will help sunset some provisions that we did not think were cost effective in the long run. So that is it in a nutshell, but again, trying to keep it focused on a 2-2-2 over the 3 years with some minor language changes and incidental adjustments based on inflation.
Very good. Discussion. Okay. Roll call.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
Yes.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
And Counselor Catrona?
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 30, vote to rescind parking permit P-00025 to be replaced with parking permit P-00025A, and that this permit be issued for a no parking zone on the east side of Worcester Street from a point opposite Laurel Street, southerly, for a distance of approximately 950 feet to a point 30 feet south of the southerly entrance to Southbridge Gas at 176 Worcester Street. This has been recommended by the Traffic
So
Commission.
moved.
Second.
Counsel Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was recommended by the subcommittee by a 5-0 vote.
Any discussion? Counsel Marquetti.
Just as a comment, this is on Worcester Street by that gas station. I'll let the chief speak to it as well. There's some issues when you're trying to come out of the gas station, not able to see the oncoming traffic because of the parking there. Thank you.
Good evening again, Mr. Chair. And just to echo Councilor Marquetti's statements, I do appreciate you, Councilor Marquetti, being the chairman of the DPW, working with me. I'm usually not going to too many DPW subcommittee meetings, but with the change in leadership at the DPW, Matt's been a great help. We're just waiting for a new DPW director. This essentially clears up a sightline issue with the gas station at 176 Worcester. Right now, you cannot park between 150 and 170. Some of these laws were created in the 30s. This one was changed in 1991 in doing my research on it. It's just old, it needs to be updated. There's no safety issue parking between 150 and 164 Worcester Street. They've been parking there for years. They can kind of park up off the road. There's not a lot of availability of parking in a multifamily dwelling. You probably have 12 families that live in those three-deckers. The issue was 176 Worcester, the gas station sight lines, again, pulling out onto a state highway. I realize the town maintains it, but it's a state highway, and it's just, this gives us an extra 30 feet pulling out of that parking, the gas station, to make a very long story short. That's all we're looking for, is 30 feet of a no parking zone.
Very good. Any discussion? Counsel Lazo? Counsel Lazo?
No.
Oh, okay. Very good. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Okay, number 31, vote to approve the following transfer requests as listed in the attached document and allow the town manager to sign all related documents or act in relation thereto.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Marquetti. Counsel Marquetti.
on agenda item number 31, are there two items that I had listed on my report that were not on tonight's agenda? So I apologize for that. I did not see this in this chart here. Of all the transfers being lumped together. I didn't see them in there, so they are there tonight. My only question is, shouldn't this be something that the town council votes on before we do this? Put this all together like this?
Well, before we discuss it, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It was my intent to handle this in a similar manner as to the way the budget is handled, where we read the line items and you can put a hold on something if you wish to put a hold on it. And then, so I will announce each transfer, the department and the transfer amount. And we have the information here that's recorded on the sheets that we get in our packets. So the information is there. This is a public document.
Yeah, I have no
And,
problem with doing it this
okay.
way. It's just that I thought it was something that the council should decide whether we want to do it this way or not,
It's,
as a whole.
I don't know that the council needs to make that decision. If the council wishes to make that for future consideration, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
All right.
Councilor Steves.
Yeah, just for some clarification, as most of you know, I'm a reporter, so I've covered several towns and various ways of town government doing things. And the idea of lumping a lot of these kinds of transfers and appointments and various other things is a common practice in most towns. The fact that we do individual items and have 60-item agendas is actually really excessive. There's a lot of streamlining we can do to make these meetings go a lot faster and a lot more easily. And a lot of these kinds of, generally a lot of like appointments and these kinds of simple transfers, I mean, quite frankly, a lot of town governments don't even deal with them at all. They often go through their management system. But our charter requires us to be a lot more focused on it, which has its pluses and minuses. But when it comes to doing it much more streamlined like this, I think it actually makes a lot more sense to do it this way, if we can do it. You can't do it always, but I think we can do it a lot more than we do.
Councilor Lazo, then Councilor Adams.
This is the first year I've seen cluster votes. Maybe they've done it in the past, I don't know, but the first time I was on council way back when the dinosaurs were around, we never cluster voted because they felt very uncomfortable with things being clustered into a group, that things go through and some things go through unnoticed. But that's the flavor of the council. And again, if the council feels, council supreme, if it feels, talk to the chairman. If you don't like it, you have your opinion on it. If it's more of a convenience, then you have your opinion on it. But again, I'm not sure it's wrong. I just think it's different. I'm not a fan of it, but it's up to the council, not up to me.
Councilor Adams, then Councilor Ryan.
Yeah, I would just probably do a little bit more research on how we would go about doing that. Would it be placed in the rules and regulations? Because trying to vote in advance of it, I don't know how you'd vote tonight to say let's cluster it up. I guess we could do that as well, 31 through 50, and then we can go from there. But maybe that's something that we'd work with in the near future. And if it's wrong, then we need to adjust it and hopefully simplify it. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, going into the next year, if we continue the ad hoc town council rules and regs ad hoc at your discretion, or whoever the next chairperson is, I would feel that this would be something that maybe we could discuss to add to the rules and regs. I think it would be, I like this idea, but I also think we need to have some sort of procedure around it to make sure we're doing so in an even keel manner. Setting an amount, like, is there a set amount that we as a council feel, okay, it can go into be this long single agenda item, or can it be, is it large enough where it merits its own discussion? I think that's something we could discuss in rules and regs. But for this, I'm fine with this for tonight, Mr. Chair. It's your discretion, honestly, as the one who makes the agenda and approves the agenda. So if you felt it was appropriate to do so, I respect your judgment.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the format? Councilor Steves.
Just a quick clarification is that it made me quickly look over to the town website, and the fact that it is there posted as part of the agenda, I think is a big difference. Makes a big difference, because anybody who wanted to take a look at the agenda item and look at all of the transfers, it is available there. So that's important.
Thank you. Very good. I'll read each individual transfer and the department and the total amount of the transfer, and if anyone wishes to put a hold on any one of them in particular, we'll do that. Okay? All right, Inspections Department, $1,000. Community Center, $2,200. Town Manager, $37.50. Town Manager, $3,000. Elections, $3,000. DPW, $861.51 and $298.34 for a total of $1,159.85. DPW, $1,600. Police, $4,000. Police, $199.03. Fire, $1,000. Fire, $100. Fire, $350. Fire, $3,500. Fire, $400. Fire, $600. Fire, $3,000. Fire, $3,000. Fire, $100. Fire, $100. Fire, $350. Fire, $3,200. Fire, $380. Fire, $600. Fire, $16. Does anyone wish to put a hold on any of those? Councilor Lazo.
I'd just like to say from the chairman of PPP, all police and fire appropriations were approved unanimously at subcommittee.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The repairs of the operation of the office at the AC system, that was voted favorable, but there was a 3-2 vote. In my notes, I wrote down that there was some concern that, according to the document, the compressor is in good shape but unable to verify. And the question was, is anyone going to be able to verify the condition of the compressor before we spend the money on fixing the AC? The other issue is purchase of 4 string trimmers and 2 cases of 2-stroke oil for $1,600. That was passed unanimously. The only thing that I would hopefully in the future, because these are being purchased out of town, I'd like us to try and use local businesses when purchasing these items going forward. But thank you. The only other question I have is, where is this document here on the website? This document here?
Yeah, it's attached to the agenda.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I've
Councilor
never
Adams?
seen that before.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's all right.
All right.
Thank you. I would agree. This needs to be put up on the website.
It is.
It is on the website.
It's attached to the
It's
agenda.
completely on the, okay,
Yes.
so I apologize, just to make sure everybody knows where the transfer's going and
Yep.
to what and why. Okay, that's all I'm asking. So thank you, Counselor Steve,
Okay.
for educating me.
I thought Matt was going to answer a question. I thought that's what he came for.
Do you have a statement to make?
The question about the compressor, I believe the reason that it wasn't, they weren't able to confirm the condition of it was because there was no refrigerant, so there was nothing to compress, so they could not confirm the operation of the compressor.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 32, vote to approve the library transfer request of $3,000 from account number 001-610-521-100 natural gas, $1,000 from account number 001-610-545-000 janitorial, $1,700 from account number 001-610-524-300 repair and maintenance buildings and grounds, $490 from account number 001-610-558-000 miscellaneous materials for a total of $6,190 to account number 001-610-530-200 data processing to cover computer upgrades and allow the town manager to sign all related
So moved.
documents.
Second.
I believe this was in Councilor Jovan's committee, and that it passed unanimously.
It did, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 33, vote to approve the police department transfer request of $8,000 from account number 001-210-511000 salary to account number 001-210-521000 electricity to cover the cost of electricity for the remainder of the fiscal year and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Council Lazo.
This vote at subcommittee was unanimous for the funding to
Thank
pass.
you. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 34, vote to approve the police department transfer request of $10,000 from account number 001-210-511700 part-time salary to account number 001-210-524300 repair and maintenance of buildings and grounds to cover the costs associated with the repairs of the elevator in order to pass mandated state inspection and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Council Lazo.
The vote at subcommittee was unanimous for these transfers.
Any questions? Council Steves.
I mean, didn't we have an issue a couple of years back with the elevator and that, and maybe, I think we've had issues repeatedly over the years with the elevators, and maybe it's just time to replace it entirely.
We have the
can't afford to do
elevator
it right
expert
now,
here
but-
tonight.
Go ahead, Chief.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll keep my comments polite, much more professional than they were in the Public Safety Subcommittee. This issue with the elevator seems to happen every year. The state seems to move the goalposts every single year with inspections. This year, I was told on May 27th that there's a new code that our elevator did not meet, and that the cost was going to be what we have here tonight for a transfer. A car stop switch, which I've never heard of, but I'll keep it polite tonight. So I was told that at the end of May. I was here previously to get a transfer to do some other work on the elevator that I was initially told. That's all you need, Chief, to have your elevator pass inspection. And upon re-inspection, I was told that there's a new code that we're now violating. So I will leave it at that. And you can't fight City Hall. When I took over as chief, we had a $20,000 fine on our elevator at the police department, and we cleared that up miraculously after several years without paying really anything. And this is every year I'll be here doing transfers again and again regarding this elevator.
Great.
That's why I'm losing my hair, because of the elevator, nothing else.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Unanimous of all present. Item number 35, vote to approve the town manager transfer request of $13,442 from account number 001945-565000, other assessments, Bay Path, to account number 001910-534600, recruitment and processing, to cover recruitment costs estimated through 6/30/2022 due to high volume of employee turnover in new positions, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So move.
Second.
Council Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, it was recommended favorably. I'll let the manager speak more to the details of the matter.
Very good. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. This is an accumulated amount of some of the costs to bring in some of the people that, replacing some of those people that retired or some that left during COVID, and for some of the new positions. There was in part an issue in the conversion with Munis that some of these invoices were scheduled to be paid, and they were marked as paid essentially, and so we thought they had been taken care of, when in fact a recent reconciliation showed they weren't. So the money that had been there, it's my understanding, may have been used for other things, but now we have to go back and pay these. And it was really a function of the software on the date of one of the upgrades. When they look back at it, all these were affected on one date. So there was a lot of these in there. We were managing our budget, but it was a software glitch.
Very good. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 36, vote to approve sewer transfer request of $297,548 from account number 600-440-583-000-22582 sewer plant capital to a new project account number for wastewater treatment plant primary clarifiers to be assigned by accounting, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So move.
Second.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. This was approved by the subcommittee in a 5-0 vote. This is just for transferring the funds for the primary clarifier that we voted on in agenda item number 27. Thank you.
Very good. Any discussion? Matt?
This would transfer the money from sewer plant capital. In this year's plant capital budget, there was a $200,000 line item for primary clarifiers, together with some other line items that unfortunately were not able to pan out because of increased costs, exorbitant costs. We have some additional money that we can cover to do some good work on the clarifiers.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 37, vote to approve sewer transfer request of $26,000 from account number 600440-520100, sewer maintenance and operating, to account number 60044-521000, sewer electricity, to cover the cost of actual and projected electricity bills from National Grid and Land of the Sky for the remainder of fiscal year '22, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this was approved by the subcommittee in a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Very good. Any discussion? Councilor Marquetti.
Well, I just would like to point out that the fiscal year is ending in, 4 days? So we are projecting that our electricity is going to go up this much in 4 days, or you have not received the bill, or?
We have not yet received the bills for Land of the Sky, I believe. Those are processed by the accountant's office. The DPW processes National Grid bills for most of the town's accounts, but those are also credited with solar credits that we buy from Land of the Sky, and those bills are handled by the accountant. So I worked with Karen to come up with the amounts that we needed for transfers for this and a few other items related to the costs of National Grid and Land of the Sky. So some of these accounts are already in the negative and need to be supplemented, and we needed to project the costs of National Grid bills, which we have now received, but at the time of these coming up with these transfers hadn't, and to come up with the projection for Land of the Sky, which we have not yet received, as far as I know.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 38, vote to approve DPW transfer request of $16,000 from account number 001-499-530000, specialized services, to account number 001-297-521000, street lights, electricity, in the amount of $15,000, and account number 001-499-521-000-0001, DPW, various locations electricity, in the amount of $1,000 to cover the cost of actual and projected electricity bills for street lights and various town-owned sites from National Grid and Land of the Sky for the remainder of fiscal year '22, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this was approved by the subcommittee on a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
All set? Councilor Marquetti.
The only thing that I would like to say is that going forward, we better try and do a better job of planning for these electric bills. I know electric bills are going skyrocketing, but I thought Land of the Sky was supposed to help us with that, try and keep the costs down. So, but that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 39, vote to amend agenda item number 24 from May 9th, 2022 Town Council meeting for the Charlton IMA payment from $123,208.34 to $157,112.26.
Second.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was approved by the subcommittee on a 5-0 vote.
Okay, Matt.
So the original amount here was coordination between Heather and Sharon Ashley, the treasurer. There were complications due to the fact that the revenues were partially in KVS and partially in Munis, and Ms. Ashley, I don't think, was familiar with KVS and didn't have the proper access. I think that's where the confusion came in, and upon review by Ms. Harnoy, and then confirmation by me. We believe that this is the correct amount based on the actual revenues from the water department.
Very good. Council Lazo.
Just a quick comment. I was on a council that was instrumental in purchasing the water company. Never in my wildest dreams would I think we would be paying Charlton royalties for our water. It's an amazing negotiations that went on a few years ago that gave our asset away. It doesn't sit well with me, but it's life. We own it. We'll pay it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 40, vote to approve water transfer request of $33,903.92 from fund number 0610, water retained earnings, to account number 610450-569300, Town of Charlton IMA payment, to supplement the transfer request for $123,208.34 approved by council on May 9th, 2022, which was agenda item 25, for a total transfer of $157,112.26, which is the revised amount of the Charlton MIA payment, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was approved by the subcommittee on a 5-0 vote.
Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 41, vote to appropriate $388,980.74 from water retained earnings to the Water Stabilization Fund, number 0845.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you. This was approved by the subcommittee on a 5-0 vote.
This item would transfer the remaining amount of funds in the water retained earnings fund after the previous transfer amendment for safekeeping in the stabilization fund.
Very good. Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 42, vote to approve water transfer request of $25,000 from the three accounts. Account number 610450-576100, water, other legal, in the amount of $8,500. Account number 610450-533100, water maintenance on trees, in the amount of $7,000. Account number 610450-530000, water, specialized services, in the amount of $9,500. All to account number 610450-521000, water electricity, to cover the cost of actual and projected electricity bills from National Grid and Land of the Sky for the remainder of fiscal year 22, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this was approved at the subcommittee level on a 5-0 vote.
Very good. So this is the water department?
Yeah, this is the same as the sewer one that was approved earlier, but it's from water. We had to dig a little more for the money because they did better at spending their money this year.
Okay. Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Very good. Item number 43, request approval for the replacement of 10 self-contained breathing apparatus in the amount of $100,000, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's opera administrator.
So moved. Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, last month, or at the beginning of this month, we started voting on some of the spending of the ARPA money, and this is another round of that. So the first one on our list here is the self-containing breathing apparatus. Chief originally put in for 40 of them at about $400,000. We had a long discussion about that. We wanted to make sure that he had plenty to go through the expiration period and move it along, but also we thought $400,000 at the time was a big chunk of change, and we thought about, this is something that they need. This is something just like our fleet of vehicles should be rotated in and out on a regular basis so you have the newest and best stuff. We had discussion with Chief. He was okay with moving it just a 10 at about $100,000 and move us in the right direction, and now with the capital projects in the near future, be able to put it on that Excel spreadsheet for us to look at in the near future. And actually, Chief provided this beautiful memo for everybody to read as well. So,
Council Lazo.
Are these Scott air packs?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 44, request approval to provide 2 base radio systems to be placed in the middle high school to increase and stabilize radio communication between the school, fire, and police departments in the amount of $150,000, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's opera administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a no-brainer. I can't even believe it. We're at this time, and we still don't have proper communication between the police and the fire and our school system down Torrey. So it was $130,000 originally when it was requested. It's gone up to about $150,000 at this point in time. This provides the systems both at the police and the fire and the school to properly communicate with one another, just in case, obviously, by the memo, anything were to happen, obviously bomb scares, active shooters, all that good stuff. And you saw it in there. We had a teacher a few years ago throw some rounds down on the ground, and you never expect any of this, but I'd rather be prepared than not prepared, and communication is key to winning any battle.
Discussion. Is this going to be part of a repeater system, Chief?
Excuse me?
Is this going to be part of a repeater system?
Yes, this will enhance the communications from inside the building to the outside antenna that is located at the Black Bear site way on the eastern side of town. So this is part of the repeater system, will be part of it, yes.
Great. Council Steves.
I know, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that ARPA meeting because I had grand stuff to do that day. But I was curious, so how wide an area will this cover, this particular system?
So this particular system will cover the Torrey Road area, along with, believe it or not, down by the Big Y area is also a problem area, up on the backside of, by where the sewer plant and that whole area. So pretty much it would be a widespread area around that area.
So, and assuming we approve this, what remains that really needs to be done as far as covering town, some areas in town?
So to give you the short answer, there was another request in the opera funds, getting a number of radios that we need from the police department, along with changing out some of their base radios to get that system up and running to, I think the ultimate goal, as I explained at the subcommittee meeting, our goal here is for better communications for system-wide, but moving to P25, which is digital. My explanation between that is that current system that we have right now is like an AM radio. You kind of use every time a transmission goes off to the dispatcher, it comes in a little scratchy, it comes in a little faded by the dial. Switching over to digital, it's a point, it's automatic. If it doesn't reach the antenna, you're not going to get the communication, but it also going digital will increase your range on a lot of these radios too. So failures would be less at this point.
Okay.
So there is a dollar figure to that. Council Adams is going to get an updated figure. Like I said, mobile radios for the police cruisers, some of their portable radios, and other ancillary items that will go along with the complete overhaul of the system. I estimated, I don't have my numbers in front of me, Councilor Adams, do you have that? Was it 150?
Yeah, it was 100. Yeah, 100 right now.
It was about $100,000 to get the rest of the system up and running and functioning.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Councilor Adams.
not to belabor this, but the P25s will be discussed on July 14th. I think we just wanted to get some more information on it to cover everybody's bases, that's all.
Very good. Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 45, request approval to upgrade the town's communication infrastructure of all phone lines to fiber optic lines in the amount of $100,000, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's opera administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome to the 21st century, getting rid of some of the copper wire and putting fiber optics where it's much needed. We'll be able to update our phone systems for VoIP or voice over IP, which a lot of towns have already gone to. And with $100,000, this covers the entire town. So when it comes to municipality buildings, so that I think it's a win. It's from the town manager, both police chiefs. And a fire chief, and highly recommended at this point in time.
Council Steve.
Just a clarification, just to make sure I heard you properly, because the way that this agenda item is written, it implies the entire town's communication. You just mean the municipal buildings, correct?
Is it just specifically for municipality buildings, right?
Through the chair, yes, definitely just for municipal buildings,
Yeah,
to include the library.
That's what I thought. Because we're not talking, because I didn't think that was the case, but when I looked at the way it was written, it would imply everybody in town is going to get fiber optic at 100,000. That's not going to happen.
If you want to make an amendment to change that up, we can.
Just for clarification, it's
Okay.
just mostly so the citizens know that this is applying to municipal buildings. Unfortunately, everyday person's not going to get fiber optic today. Sorry,
No.
can't afford that.
Do you wish to make an amendment?
I don't think it's necessary, as long as we know.
No? Okay. Any further discussion? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. How exactly will this work then? If there's fiber optics coming into the buildings, are there fiber optics outside the building that the building can connect to, or how exactly does that work? Through you to
So to answer that question, I'm not sure, to be totally honest with you. We need to investigate how fiber optics are being worked in town currently. We don't know if there is we've heard over the years that there is a fiber optic line from the new school. Council Alzo may remember. I don't remember, I was not here. And it goes to the police station. We would have to do an overall review with a carrier, Verizon, Spectrum. Those are kind of the only two carriers that we'll have to our disposal to do the review, and then move forward to making these fiber optic lines get put in place.
So if there's no fiber optic line outside and you've got fiber optic, I don't know how it works either, but if you have fiber optics inside the building and it stops at the pole outside, so it would be kind of like a waste. I don't know how you're going to solve that. That's my concern. How would you solve that if it can go no further than the pole outside? So maybe it's something we can look into.
I think in further discussion on this, we actually talked a lot more so during subcommittee about replacing old phone systems to going to VoIP systems too. I think the fire station and the library were the two that were involved with this too. So on top of looking at the fiber optic placement or project, I think the most important part of this $100,000 is the VoIP phone systems to get that up and running. Both of our systems, I do know, Margaret's not here. She did say hers is just as old as mine. Mine is on its last leg. It's about 18 to 20 years old, and it's analog, and it's maxed out completely. So it's kind of a twofold communications system.
I'm sad.
Councilor Lazo.
To my knowledge, the charter, what they call Spectrum, when they came in and did the charter pipeline, which was the fiber line, I know when we were building the school, we were all state-of-the-art throughout the building, and it was charter communications or Spectrum that accommodated the outside fiber to take it to the police station. I know that the American Optical Company had big fiber lines put in it would be in front of the AO and all the way down when they did the DOD. So, I mean, the town has fiber outside of your buildings. How well and how updated they are, I do not know. But I know when we did the school, we had fiber to tie into.
Chief.
So I think it's important that when I put all this together, this was what, 6 months ago, and then we put everything together and pass it off to Opera. At the time, we were in the infancy talking about an IT director. I think this would be a perfect number one start job for an IT director when they do get hired, because obviously fiber optics, I know it's a line, just like Councilor Marquetti said. I know it goes to the street and that's about it, but I do know there's connection fees and ongoing monthly connection fees when that all takes place. So I appreciate, let's get started with the money to get this moving forward with phone systems for a couple of the town buildings, and then we'll, hopefully the IT director, when and if that person gets hired, you know, go with the ball of fire and get on this project.
Okay. Anyone else? Very well. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you.
Item number 46, request approval to provide $250,000 in town loans and grants to small businesses within our town's central core, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's opera administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I know I didn't have anything for you up here, but this is, so when we realized that we were receiving some sort of ARPA funds, a lot of towns utilize it for, or have utilized funds, taxpayer money, to help offset some of the costs and help rebuild some of the core of their town with either no interest loans or some type of grant or a small interest loan, but at the same time where they would have to obligate with a small, whether a soft lien on the property, or maybe it's a 20-80 match or something like that, or a 50-50 match or something like that. So the whole point of this, and when I brought it to the economic development team downstairs, was to be able to help the core of our town with some of these buildings. I'll give you an example. We had a candy store that wanted to come here. We had it all set. The owner of the building, from my understanding, wasn't willing to do some upgrades, and there were some probably unpermitted items that happened in that building. Well, this is a perfect example of being able to help that owner hopefully progress with their buildings, that bringing us in some type of a business, but at the same time, they owe us something. Just don't give it out for free. It has to be some oversight and all that. Just like we utilize CDBG money when it comes to items, there has to be oversight, there has to be follow-through, but there has to be some type of obligation on their part as well. So we saw this funds being able to come in here and help the town with some of the small businesses.
Councilor Ryan and Councilor Lazo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. First, this is a wonderful idea. We should be supporting our local businesses here in the center core. You know, one of the things when I first moved into town that I noticed was how empty our main street is. There, for a long time, have been a lot of empty buildings and a lot of business fronts. And now we're starting to see movement coming in. And this will provide an opportunity for a lot of those local businesses to be able to make the investments to improve their businesses or have the ability to be able to move into one of these fronts. And I think it would be a huge source of economic opportunity for the town, especially utilizing federal funds, which were given out to the town for some of this very purpose. So that's a great suggestion, and I'm happy to support anything our local businesses want to do in terms of expansion and remodeling and support. So thank you, Councilor Adams, and thank you to the ARPA committee.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
I too think it's a fantastic idea, Councilor Adams. The only thing is, I have a problem with the word center core. We have a thing called the Globe, which has been the stepchild of economic development for a while. And then we have the East Main Street, which is the plaza, and a lot of rezoning going on down there, trying to get the economic engine moving. Again, I think it's a fantastic idea. The only thing I'd like to do is offer an amendment at this time to delete center core and allow business in general to work towards a better, some help of all the businesses. I mean, I know we have a lot of mill buildings we're talking about down the other end. We're having a lot of construction going on with the Grow building. You have the Finns building. You have a lot of old buildings down that end of town that could use a little bit of help also. So my amendment is to delete center core
I'll second
and read it as is.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for an amendment. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor Steves.
He brought up something, that was one of the things I was actually going to bring up too. But also, the other thing I wanted to point out, as I mentioned, I wasn't able to go to this meeting. One thing I am a little bit concerned about is the fact that we need to make sure that we have some very specific contract language working with any of these recipients to make sure that we don't have, because we don't have that in our packets right now. And so make sure that we get what we need to be. I agree with what Councilor Adams was saying about the general gist of where this should go and what kinds of ideas we can be doing with that. But we need to make sure that it's very clear. And I'm not sure exactly what the plan is for that.
This would be modeled after the CDBG Commercial Rehab Signs, Facades, Awnings program, and obviously the department has a lot of the contract language and the procedures that we would adopt towards the design of this program.
Okay.
With regards to the specifics, we would design a rubric that would allow applicants to compete according to what we think would be the most competitive, advantageous for us to be able to invest in. With regards to expanding to outside the central core, I think that's a great idea. Again, if you're following a rubric, regardless of where it is in town, if it's serving whatever those economic development goals are, I think that's great. Initially, it was focused in the downtown because before the interim rule, during the interim rule, for the ARPA funds, they were gearing funds towards those most disadvantaged census tracts. And so we had tailored that around what the interim rule was. Now that the final rule is in place and you can use the funds as you see fit for your town, that seems like a good solution.
Okay, that's good. And to follow up with that, also, so if we can, I just lost my train of thought. I don't do that. Oh yeah, also, so I would also like to see some of this funds be used to help people who have business ideas get started, not just people who already have existing businesses. Because that would be helpful, because I'm sure that there are people out there who would love to have, who could benefit from having a couple of grand to be able to start something, get some supplies or whatever it is, and get some, and may have an idea, but they can't actually afford to get going. So I'd love to see something like that be worked into there too.
All set? Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that's something that I have no problem with helping out the businesses. We can just, instead of the small business, we can say businesses. Obviously, the oversight would be through Ms. Dean's office in a sense, obviously with the ARPA administrator as well. And it's just not, here's the money. It would be just like the United Way. It's got to come to us with a rubric and try to figure this whole thing out. Each one's going to be different every time we come across these funds. I'll give you an example. Like you just brought up the starting off a business. Well, we have this building over here, and you got Bob down the road who wants to start this restaurant. Can we help out both with some type of kitchen or whatever it may be? I think that's a great idea, but I do think it has to be strictly enforced.
Oh, I agree.
And followed through, and it should be a competing. People have to compete for these funds and tell us how are they going to help our town out, and how many people are you going to hire, and who are you hiring from? And I mean, I agree with you. It was also because we expanded this based on the amendment. It was also brought up, and there was $250,000 not enough. But if we're going to spend that, if we're going to expand that, I'd also reconsider how much money are we providing at that time. It was a good argument to have, but if we're going to expand this to businesses, is there more funds that we can? Just to give you a heads up, right now, if everything goes through with the $250,000, you've spent, the town council has spent $2.6 million. We have $2.4 million left over. Some are waiting on updates, I should say, from other people or other individuals. So I'd be willing to open that gate up just a little bit further and see how we go. Councilor Marchetti brought up a great point, and it's counter to what I want, but he brought up a good point. How about if we just start, see how it goes, and go from there? My fear, though, that 250 is going to disappear pretty quickly if there's a competing grant within the town for some of the businesses.
I saw Council Steves
Actually,
first,
I
then
think-
Council Ryan.
I think her hand was up first, actually.
Okay,
Mr.
go
Chairman.
ahead, Council Ryan.
Actually, Pam, Peg, sorry.
Sure.
I'm tired.
Oh, they forgot your name.
Peg.
So just to clarify, this is, as a loan program, it would be a revolving loan program. Because we're now with the final rule, there is no timeline within which we have to spend it. We obviously want to be able to see economic development within the 2 years right now that we're seeing these one-time funds, to try to help our own local economy. But what I would see it most useful for is bringing buildings up to code. And so I love the idea of helping businesses. I see helping businesses by helping to outfit for commercial kitchens, like you'd mentioned, sprinklers in buildings that aren't already fully sprinkled for those restaurants on the first floor. The elevator, if we wanted upper office level. This is, to me, exactly sort of the last piece of the puzzle, now that you've got an executive director and you're downtown focusing on trying to promote economic development. Now you've got the funds, all the pieces are in place. And if I could just make a quick public service announcement for the Quabog Valley CDC, who offers small business loans for people who have a great business idea, please contact them. They have, they'll help you start a business plan. They have funding for you. If you have bigger ideas that you think you want to bring to maybe mass development, straight to the state, they're open for business. They're happy to hear ideas and try to fund if they feel like you have a vision and you've got the finances. If you don't have the finances, they can even help you. If you're unbankable through a traditional bank, they can help bank you even further. So there are resources out there outside of the local town. If you need advice, please come to us.
God bless.
Good to know. Good to know.
Mr. Chairman, can we stick to the amendment?
Well, we're
getting late.
discussing the issue and the amendment at the same time, so.
Yeah.
To eliminate Senate Core or not to eliminate Senate Core is a discussion in front of us right now. The motion is there, the second is there. It's
Okay.
already there. We're going to vote the
fine.
amendment.
All right,
And then we can discuss the main motion as amended if it gets amended.
do you have a comment on the amendment? Certainly. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to be clear on the amendment. We're changing it to, in town, loans, grants to small businesses within our town, and distribution of funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
Yes.
Is that it?
Correct. The elimination of the Senate Core is the only thing I've done.
Yep.
That apostrophe.
It doesn't eliminate the Senate Core, it allows you to cover the whole town.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have an amendment. Do you wish to speak to the amendment, ma'am?
Sorry.
Oh,
Jasmine?
Jasmine.
Sorry.
Okay.
Jasmine Rivas, 40 Rogers Street. And you may have already discussed this, but I was just curious about how much of it would be loans and how much of it would be grants. I think that businesses have really struggled through this pandemic, and I know that at one point there were some loans that were given to businesses in town, but even that is a struggle for people to pay back a loan when they haven't been able to maintain their business through all of this time, and especially people starting out a business. I would probably suggest to have it be more of a grant program, and yes, have it be competitive and have, oversight and people kind of competing for these funds, but I would suggest to keep them at grants instead of loans because of people's struggles during this time. So.
Thank you, Councilor-elect. Okay, we have an amendment on the floor, a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. We now have an amended motion on the floor. Any further discussion, Councilor Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Councilor Adams. Based on the decision to expand this tonight from beyond the center core to the entire community, do you think it would be more appropriate to go back to ARPA and see if there has to be a change of funds, or are you comfortable with going forward with the money proposed tonight and then seeing if that goes quickly?
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I would recommend at this point in time is what Councilor Marquetti has stated, but within the ARPA funds on the Excel spreadsheet, set aside about $100,000, because if this goes off really, really well, at least it's there. We don't spend it, we don't obligate it to anything else but that. If it not, we can always amend that and move that to somewhere else.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Steves.
I'd also like to add that I agree with what Jasmine was saying a few minutes ago. We could also do, if we wanted to maintain the idea of doing loans, we can make it set up so that there's no interest loans. And also, I was thinking, it might make sense as far as, since, I mean, even if we were to add more money to this, which might be a good idea, obviously our funds are not unlimited. So I would think we would want to set up a size limit to the businesses that can be a size limit to favor the smaller businesses over, you know, the ones that already have a fair amount of cash to be established. Because I would love to see this be really used as something that will help people get a leg up, not just allow somebody who's already fairly well established to do something else that they might otherwise be able to afford to themselves. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be unfair to people, because I understand that there's a lot of stuff that's going on. A lot of these businesses have a lot of moving parts and stuff like that. But I definitely want to favor the smaller people.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think it's a great idea. What I would recommend is when it gets, once we approve this or not,
Right.
whichever route it goes, then that's where the argument, discussion has to be had on how that process will work. Maybe it's multiple ideas. So, thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
Councilor Rivas brought out an excellent point, but that has nothing to do with ARPA money. ARPA money is a separate issue than the grant funding for businesses. Great idea, another thing that we can discuss once it gets on the board. I think it's fantastic. We need to stay to the agenda item where either you want to fund the 250 to the whole town and we eliminate the core with the amendment. At that point, you know, the question has been asked, do you want to extend the money? No, let's pass this, see how it goes. If you want to add money to it, you can. That's the short of it. But the ARPA money and grant funding is two different worlds. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question is, how are we coming along with this hiring of an ARPA administrator? Through you to the town manager.
What was the question?
I have our Assistant Town Manager, HR Director, Ms. Rabena, behind me, who's going to,
Go up to the podium if you'd like.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So we've posted the position, and we have some candidates that are currently under review. We plan on setting up some interviews by next week. We're going to forward the resumes for review as a collaborative team, and once we determine who our finalists are, we're going to start bringing them to interview them. So more to follow on this. Any additional questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. There being no further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 47, presentation of the Town Council evaluation summary of the Town Manager for fiscal year 22, as prepared by the Council Chair, and vote to accept.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Mr. Michael McCall, Town Manager, Town of Southbridge, 41 Elm Street, Southbridge, Mass. Dear Mr. McCall, I am pleased to provide you with a summary of your evaluation completed by the Town Council for the period of September 4, 2021 through June 30, 2022. Town councilors were to submit their completed evaluations with written comments to me so that I could prepare a summary of the evaluations as well as a final overall score and rating. Members of the council completed their evaluations, including some level of written comment. This evaluation encompasses observations made by the members of the council on your job performance. The evaluation was conducted using the Town Manager Performance Evaluation Goals and Objectives for September 4th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, as approved by the Town Council on June 6th, 2022. The evaluation instrument measures your performance in 6 areas: knowledge and skill, dependability, communication, core qualities, leadership and management, and financial acumen. The rating scale used for these 6 areas is 1 point, far below expectations, 2 points, below expectations, 3 points, achieves expectations, 4 points, exceeds expectations, 5 points, far exceeds expectations. The overall average scores in these 6 areas are as follows. Knowledge skill, 4.38 out of 5 possible points. Dependability, 4.38 out of 5 possible points. Communications, 4.13 out of 5 possible points. Core qualities, 4.00 out of 5 possible points. Leadership and management, 4.13 out of 5 possible points. Financial acumen, 4.38 out of 5 possible points. The evaluation instrument measures your performance in 3 areas regarding goals and objectives: personnel, financial, communications, and infrastructure asset management. The rating scale used for these 3 areas is as follows: 1 point, far below expectations; 2 points, below expectations; 3 points, achieves expectations; 4 points, exceeds expectations; 5 points, far exceeds expectations. The overall average scores in these 3 areas are as follows: personnel financial, 3.75 out of 5 points; communications, 3.50 out of 5 possible points; infrastructure asset management, 3.50 out of 5 possible points. Your overall average total score was 36.13 points out of 45 total possible points, which falls in the category of exceeds expectations. As noted above, counselors were asked to submit written comments in addition to their numerical rating. A summary of those comments in the performance category as follows: knowledge skill, very knowledgeable, has offered proper planning and strategic thinking when it came to our successful restructuring of the HR department, curbside collection, the list goes on. He consistently demonstrates an exceptional knowledge of what is required of him to successfully manage the town. Dependability. Town Manager McCall has a tremendous work ethic. There are no issues with trying to reach him at any hour. I would like him to attend some functions throughout town that occur outside of the normal work week. Has shown performance well beyond his contractual needs and has done so willingly to the town's benefit. If he doesn't have the information at that moment, he will investigate and respond to the person who asked the question. He understands state laws and local bylaws and what is required for all sorts of matters, both legal and non-legal. Communications, generally good. This year's annual report looks good. Continually and precisely informs town councilors with much needed information to keep us informed so we can make sound decisions for the town. Core qualities. Mr. McCall works in a collaborative manner with council and town employees, especially to find common ground. There have been no issues where he has shifted blame to his employees. Leadership and management. Has shown a great aptitude for building meaningful structure. Appreciated the manager and his team being so on top of getting stuff sent to subcommittees. The professionalism he has shown throughout the pandemic has been key to the success of those who work in the town hall. While there are a number of new employees, his wisdom and demeanor is one of true exceptionalism. Customer, taxpayer service has improved over the last year, still hoping to build on it. Financial acumen. Mr. McCall has produced a budget that was concise, on time, and presented in a format and manner that closely represented the wishes of the council. Definite strength. Budget and reports that include critical statistical percentages and town's ranking, region, state, national. A summary of those comments in the goals and objectives category are as follows. Personnel, financial. Completed a review of the town's human resources functions. He presented the town council with his findings relative to several inefficiencies that were present. These issues had a potential direct impact on the town with penalties. Presented a detailed plan for the reorganization of human resource functions. Generally good. Waiting to see performance evaluations. He has come forward on a couple of occasions to update the personnel regulations. Communications. The town manager has successfully implemented the new town website. Translation services have improved. However, I still would like to see more advertisements and announcements put out in Spanish. Infrastructure and asset management. Town Manager McCall has worked with the Town Council to provide a strategic plan for implementation of the curbside collection program, has worked closely with the DPW Director regarding MS4 regulations. The school receiver is setting an initial plan of action for school facilities, instrumental in the fire station building project. There were no recommendations or plans for addressing all building needs in town this year. The public evaluation will be presented at the regular Town Council meeting scheduled for Monday, June 27, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the McKinnon Council Chambers. I remain available to you to discuss the evaluation report and any concerns you may have. Sincerely, John L. Daniel, Chairperson of the Southbridge Town Council. And that's the executive summary. Okay.
Oh, I'd just like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and everybody for putting in their comments. And I did get to speak to a couple people, but I'm more than happy to talk anybody about their questions, comments, concerns that are in the eval. I look forward to working with the recently elected councilors, Councilor Rivas, Councilor Montigny, and to Mr. Marchetti, who was reelected. I also want to wish well to Councilor Catrona and Councilor Jovan in their future endeavors. I've enjoyed working with all of you in the last 2 years on a lot of these. You know, I did get to see the numbers earlier. The goals, you know, those are ongoing. We'll continue to work on them. And one thing that I've learned in Southbridge is a lot of things that come up. And when we talked about all those last year, we didn't really know that we were going to receive the money for the rail trail. We have a lot of things that come up that take precedence. But we've talked about putting together a capital planning committee this year and a working group. And perhaps we should look at something for facilities that way as well. It's a big ticket item. A lot of these things have accumulated over time. It will take time to get through a lot of them, but I think together we can work on chip all these away and, you know, continue to work in the best interest of the community. But again, I thank you for all of your input. Enjoy working with you, and I look forward to working with you going forward in the next fiscal year.
Very good. Okay. Counselor, agenda item number 48, Counselor's Forum.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to-
I'm going to accept it.
Yes.
Okay, it's a motion and second on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Thank you, Jackie. No problem. Now, item number 48, Council's Forum. Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several residents called me last week concerning the water main break a week ago Saturday. One resident even came to my house to ask what was happening. There was low pressure, and eventually no water at all. I also had the same problem. The issue that many of the residents had is that they didn't feel they were being kept informed of what was going on right away. I know that later on during the morning, a message went out to everybody who was signed up for the Everbridge, but for the first part of the morning, no one knew what was going on. So I did attempt to contact the town manager and the water department to find out what was going on. The water department has an answering service, but it was not very helpful. It sounded like a stock answer read from a sheet. The team is out in the field investigating it. I don't know why they couldn't just let me know that there was a water main break so I could let residents know. So I just think we need better communication when something like this happens. And I would also suggest hiring a new local answering service. That one wasn't very good. I did get several calls from residents who live in the Mill Street area concerning some, what they said sounded like gunfire. The town manager and the police chief did confirm that there was some problems over there. It had something to do with the same issue that happened on Thomas Street, same group of people. So some of the residents there were kind of concerned. They just felt very unsafe, and they want to make sure that they were very concerned for their families' safeties. So, and I would think the police department would want to report these type of things to reassure the residents that they're actively working to ensure the safety of that neighborhood. Also, several residents have also inquired as to why there is a lack of meeting minutes on the board and committees posted on the town's website. Some are missing going back over a year, so I'd like to get all the meeting minutes posted as soon as possible, please. Thank you. And finally, I'd like to take this opportunity, I know Councilor Jovan's not here. If he's watching, I'd like to thank Councilor Jovan and Councilor Catrona for their service to the committee and community. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. I know we didn't always agree on everything, on all the issues in town, but hopefully I was able to correct your thinking. I'm just kidding. Good luck to you and Councilor Jovan if he's watching. See you around. I hope to see you around. Thank you.
Councilor Catrona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you to my fellow councilors, citizens, taxpayers. I wish everyone the best, the newly elected council. Thank you, and continue to be the watchdog for the town. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good luck with what you're going to be doing wherever you're going, Joe. And Jack, who's unfortunately not here. It's been interesting serving with you both, and I've learned a lot from both of you. Specific items I wanted to point out through you, I guess, as the manager. Where do things stand as far as fixing Main Street and dealing with Lynch?
So through you, Mr. Chairman, to Councilor Steves, I've been working with on the interim DPW Director, Matt Desjardins, as well as the engineers from VHB. We received essentially an offer from Lynch to resolve that. We have reviewed it, and we have our opinion of essentially a counteroffer as what we think needs to be done. So we are passing back and forth. We have our ideas what needs to be done to make us whole for that. So we are in negotiations to get that resolved. So I don't know that I can elaborate more at the moment, but I will come to you once we agreed upon with an update on what we're doing and what the plan is. But I will just put it this way, we believe there's a significant amount of items that we walked that day that have to be addressed, and we have a line that we say has to be done, and that's we're sticking to it.
Well, that's good to see that we stick to it. We definitely need to make sure we do, and it would be nice to see Lynch actually come to the table and actually do the work. The other issue I wanted to ask is, I'll just bring up is also that for those of you who weren't aware of it, the Concerts in the Commons started this past Sunday. It was a good show, but maybe a few dozen people showed up, and it was nice. Nice to see a lot more people come down. The whole series is running on Sundays at 6 from now till late into August. So please come down to the Common and check them out. And also, I'm also part of the Grange in Dudley, and we're doing a Grange concert on July 9th. That's also free, and come on down and bring your lawn chairs and stuff and hang out. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. First, I want to thank Councilor Catrona for his years of service, as well as I want to take a little bit more time on Councilor Jovan. He has given a lot of time and years, not only to this board, but to other boards. He's done some real good work in this town, the fire station being one of them. I appreciate his candor. We didn't always see eye to eye. However, I appreciated, and I said this at the subcommittee as well, his subcommittee, that I appreciated his moral clarity on a lot of things. I appreciated his upfrontness, and frankly, his bluntness. A lot of times people play games, and he was never that person. He always told you what he thought, how it was, how he saw it. And I appreciated that frankness about him, and I'm going to miss that up here. So thank you, Jack. You will be missed. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, I've gotten a number of calls and emails about the bus stop sign out by the library. Now, the bus stops in Southbridge or outside of Worcester are not actual stops. That's where the bus just stops for a minute, but it's not considered an actual stop as it is in Worcester. That's why there are no signs out. It's a wave down system. So if you see the bus, you wave it down.
outside of Worcester. The only exception to that was the sign originally at the library, because Margaret had worked closely with the WRTA to get that sign there. However, the stop is no longer there. The bus doesn't even stop there anymore. The bus stop got moved down further a couple years back. So I have spoken with the board and with the administrator, and they're going to be working on either moving that sign or removing it completely from the town. So I will give an update at that point when I have a solution from the administrator. But that's it, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Council Lazo.
I just comment on the bus. I really would like to see the bus moved from in front of the library. Since we lost all that parking, there's no room. So when the bus stopped, like it did today, it stopped, they were putting the bikes on the front, people were getting on the bus. But the thing is, it's almost like the bus is halfway across the street on the right side. So, you know, if we could back it up where there's, you know, a wider road or forward, wherever, I think it would probably be better off as far as alignment with the traffic and the new parking areas and all the changes that we have. But I like your idea, to make sure that we get the sign there. Waving them down, I don't think it'll work in Southbridge, you know, I think we need that sign. But
I'll pass your comments along, Councilor Lazo, to the administrator.
moving on, I'd just like to thank Joe Catrona for his years of service on the council. My good friend, both of them my good friend, but I spent a lot of time with Jack Jovan on various committees and boards and commissions and whatever. Jack Jovan, I feel bad that he's not here tonight. I hate talking to an empty chair. So I'm going to save my comments for a time in the future. We should do something to acknowledge his exit as a former chairman of both boards. I'd just like to congratulate all the elected officials that got elected, especially the school board. Not a lot of build-up. Everything was about the council race, but going forward with the school district and the state, having a full complement and having the people run for office and get elected is very important for the process moving forward. I congratulate all of you. Special thanks, Mike Marchetti, welcome back to the council. Mike Montigny, first time out, high vote getter. I salute my good friend. Councilman Rivas, I can't wait to work with you. I think you're a ton of energy and a lot of great ideas. I think you're going to fit in just right. As I always said, we have the right to disagree. We don't have to hate each other, and we can have some good, healthy debate. A quick comment on the water break. I don't know if you were left out of the loop, but I got to tell you, I thought that was fantastic. I was getting a text every half hour, every hour. Anybody that called me, I told them there was a water break on High Street. I thought, and I saw a lot of different threads coming in, like Councilor Adams and different councilors, they were all in the group text. And I thought it was handled, that's the most information I've got on any break or storm or anything that went bad. So whether it was Matt, Desjardins, or the town manager, DPW, I was right in the middle of it and got all of it. So I was very happy about that. Just would like to comment on people saying, you know, they're worried about, you know, employees and various things that go on with our employees versus the council, so to speak. I have been a firm believer that if we have people that work in the town or for the town that do not know how to treat the public or treat various entities that work with the town of Southbridge, they shouldn't be working for the town of Southbridge. There are various things. This council has proved that we have great backers of our employees. We changed our insurance to 70/30. We always put forward the best efforts in keeping people and not lose those transient moves that people do. Part of our problem is if we demanded some of the certain jobs like the manager and like department heads going forward, I think that, you know, once you move here, it's a lot harder to leave. You know, so for myself, moving forward, we have a lot to do. We treat our employees the way they treat our public. And I think moving forward, we have to keep that in mind. Again, welcome aboard for the new councilors and the outgoing council. I wish you the best. Thank you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'm going to say the same thing. Good luck with the Council Cotrona, Council Jovan. for their future. Hopefully we'll see him in any board still active in town, and congratulate the new councils. I'm sure I will be working with them in the future. I just want to make a small comment here. I don't know if I should or not, but we're all human, and which one from us doesn't have any mistakes in life? He raised his hand. We hold something against Mr. McCall. Probably he get pressure on his shoulder from home, from work, and his wife, you know, his kids.
Councilor Dow?
It's okay.
Okay.
I can speak. It's my turn now. I'm not
just saying-
making any.
No, I'm just saying.
What?
I'm just saying, be careful where you go.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Thank you.
I take any liability, no problem.
Okay.
He was trying to look for better relationship with his family. At the time he moved to Southbridge, was an old town manager. He did nothing for the town. When Mr. McCall come to town, he give him everything. The jobs leftovers, half the department retire. He have to look for a new employee. Let's say the truth. You know, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but hopefully, I'm sure people understand at the end where I come from. This guy, he worked so hard for the town of Southbridge, put his time, offer, and now we attack him for, I don't know if it's maybe a mistake, maybe not, maybe he didn't communicate correctly, maybe he wasn't, I don't know what it was, but I don't think we should harm the guy and hate him and all kind of word. And let's put the good thing he did for the town and the bad thing he did. Which one more? I mean, I think only one. He won and someone else of life. So let's end the story short. Mr. McCall, I got you the magic stick, the one I promised you. So I'm gonna give you that. Maybe you can turn the clock back and make the council more happy, because we're all human, we all do mistakes in life, and I think
Thank you very much.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
forgive the guy. Thank you for
You gotta wave it, you know, before you leave.
doing a great job for the town of Southbridge. And I have no word to say because he mean well for the town. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dow. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Councilor Dow, for the gift. I hope it was less than $25, so. And that to Councilor Lazo, I rarely make a joke, and there was the joke. So, but I neglected a couple things in manager's announcements that I just wanted to go over. We did get some good press recently in the Telegram and Telegraph. We've been talking to them. They did some stories on the airport and business development in the town. And we're going to be putting the diner RFP out again this week. Part of the reason we were talking to the Telegram is to get some attention. And as a result of that story, we got some unsolicited requests for the diner RFP. This will be the third time we put it out, and we haven't had a completed application yet on that. So it's kind of mystifying why we're not getting that. On the water break issue, soon I got notified concurrently with Councilor Marchetti's email from the DPW interim director about the issue. We immediately were working on it, and to Councilor Lazo's point, if I get accurate phone numbers from everybody here and the new council members, I did send out text messages. I know Chairman Daniel came down to the scene, but we immediately jumped on that. We did put it on the town's website. We sent out some alerts. We can work on the messaging at the phone department. Those employees came to the site and came in. I don't think they went into the office because they came right. I know the water department as well as the interim director came in. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but we did try and put a lot of that information up as soon as we could. I will send you folks out an email just to let you know before the next council meeting that day on the 11th. I'll have to get you the exact details. There will be a ribbon-cutting ceremony at Wells School, and I believe there'll be many local, state, and possibly even federal dignitaries that are coming in, Congressman Neal, so I'll get you the details with that as well. There was some questioning about what will happen in light of one of the votes earlier. I did speak to State Building Inspector this week, just so everybody's aware. My understanding of how the vote went, Mr. Pelletier had a dual role. He was our building commissioner and our health inspector. Mr. Julian is working towards getting his local certification, but he can only work under a building commissioner, and each town requires one. He is not in a position to be appointed as a temporary. We are either going to have to get an interim for both of those, or we could utilize the assistance of a state building inspector, or we might be able to look at some type of mutual aid. I do have some ideas of how we'll do that so that we don't have any hiccups, but I just wanted to let you know that we did look into it a little bit, but this may be interesting. I don't know how many people hold that dual designation, so as we go forward, we may have to revisit what people want to do with that department, inspectional services, as we combine parts of it, and whether or not we want to have separate building commissioner and a separate health inspector, because we don't have anybody. This is very similar to when Mr. Conoyer left. You know, he had a dual role. We've had a lot of people with dual roles leave, and it's been very hard to try and post and find somebody to come in with both of those designations. So we'll get through it. It may, have some bumps in the road, but we're prepared to come up with a plan in the interim. And that plan I've already talked to Mike Julian, we will incorporate him in that. He has to complete his testing, but until such time as he's done with all of his tests, we may have to have an interim solution. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And that's all I wanted to add. And again, thank you for the review, and well wishes to Councilors Catrona and Jovan, and thank you.
Very good. Councilor Adams.
Holy cow, that took forever. That was a great councilors forum all the way around. I appreciate it, and it's interesting that councilors come and go, but in the end, Southbridge is Southbridge, and we love this damn town. I saw the good and the bad today, and it was it turned out all right, and we survived it, and we'll just move forward. I wish Councilor Catrona the best in his near future. Councilor Jovan, I will discuss with him later on. I believe he may be coming out here, maybe at Citizens Forum or something like that, to say his well wishes to the council. I wanted to bring up one thing. We had some issues that we heard about over at Wells, the apartments. So myself, both chiefs met up with Rich Relic, the owner, and the management team the other day. It was very enlightening of what they had to say and how this works, and about how some of these vouchers may be and where they come from and what happens. I'll give you an instant. There was an issue. That issue was taken care of by the police pretty quickly, and that issue is now being evicted because that management team has hundreds of properties, manages hundreds of properties around the United States. They have somebody ready to go to Housing Authority if there's any type of issues that may happen. So it was very enlightening. The place looks great, clean, and it was just a great conversation to have, and it was kind of an icebreaker for us as a town with this new management, these new owners, especially when we have K Street coming online, possibly in the wintertime, early winter. So that's great news. ARPA, Councilor Marchetti continues to bring this up about the ARPA, which I think is a great idea. We asked people to put it in. So I reached out to Matt, I talked to and Chief, and I said, if you want to put this in for ARPA, let's see what we can do on that, and then we'll go from there. We do have some priorities, though, that we're going to work on next, and then we're going to continue to move on at least one meeting per month so we can continue to move these funds forward. So I appreciate all the help that the town manager has provided me, Counselor Steves has provided us, and as we move forward. I do want to state one thing. When we talked about the $250,000 for small businesses or businesses within the town of Southbridge, that was a collective idea. That was the economic, that was the planner, that was myself, that was the town manager. That was a lot of people just saying, what can we do and how can we do it? Because the seeds have been planted. How do we help this out? And now we have a window of opportunity. We're going to jump all over it. So I just want to thank them for the consistent work and time spent, because these ARPA meetings are not lasting 1 hour. They're lasting 2 hours. To get this stuff through. So we look forward to seeing anybody that would like to attend on July 14th as we move forward. And that's all I have for right now. And let's see here. Councilor Marquetti, congratulations. I think I said congratulations to you before. And all the candidates now, or not the candidates, but we call it Councilor-elect. All right. Congratulations. We look forward to working with you guys. And go from there. Next, agenda item number 49. Next meeting will be Monday, July 11th at 7 p.m. here in the dais.
Very good. And before we adjourn, I'd like to say that I was at that leak on High Street, and I was there for 4 hours that day, owing to the size of the leak, the location of the leak, the difficulties in stopping the leak, and also the potential for a situation where the fire chief needed to be involved. So I'd like to compliment the inspections department, both the inspections director and the building inspector, for their work there, the DPW for their fine work and not giving up on shutting off, I believe it was 4 separate valves that they had to, because it was a main feed line. And it's my understanding from the DPW that the reason why you were affected by it over on Maria Ave is that the lines are kind of convoluted in town. There's a lot of spaghetti underneath this town, and it swings from there up Woody Crest, down Woodland, up Hillside, down Durfee, over to Lebanon Circle, and everywhere, and up Lebanon Hill. So it's a main line that truncates around, and if you understand the history of the town, you can kind of track where the developments in town were back in the 1910s and 20s and 30s, and they just probably extended the line as the developments were built back then, as the town expanded from the central core. So thank you, Chief. Fine job on Saturday. The DPW really did a great job. You know, my sincere best wishes to the owner of the property and to the properties affected as well. It was a pretty good leak, and they were able to put a stop on it. And I'm not sure what the engineering is saying about the future with it, but you know, hopefully we can work out solutions as far as that goes. I'd like to offer Godspeed and best fortune to Councilor Catrona in his endeavors. Wish him the best. And to Councilor Jovan, who was my mentor for 3 years as vice chair, and then for a year as chair when he was chairman emeritus. Very good advice, as Councilor Ryan was saying, no BS. And that's important, because sometimes you have to kind of wade through it to find out exactly what the real situation is. And I appreciate his fine advice time after time after time. So Jack, if you're watching, I appreciate it very much, and Godspeed and God bless to you as well. The discussion of the next meeting included that it was July 11th, as Councilor Adams said. There'll be a reorganization meeting first, and then the regular meeting will follow. At that, I'll go to agenda item number 50, adjourn. You read my mind. Okay, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous of all present. We are adjourned.